It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Season 17, Episode 5 is a wild ride from start to finish, packed with the kind of chaotic energy, dark humor, and cringe-worthy antics that have made the show a cult favorite for nearly 2 decades. The gang, Charlie, Mac, Dennis, Dee, and Frank, are up to their usual self-centered, dysfunctional shenanigans, and this time, their quest for opulence and adventure leads them straight into the seedy underbelly of a closing dog track in West Virginia. What starts as a misguided attempt to experience the glamour of the Kentucky Derby quickly devolves into a series of bets, scams, and gross-out moments that only the gang could dream up. The episode opens with Charlie offering Dee a raw hot dog, setting the tone for the raw dogging theme that runs throughout the story. Mac and Charlie are convinced that eating raw hot dogs is the latest TikTok trend, a way to deprive themselves of creature comforts and get back to basics. Dennis, ever the snob, is disgusted by the idea and more concerned about getting hot dog grease on his fancy seersucker suit. The gang is dressed to the nines, expecting a day of glamour at the Kentucky Derby, complete with mint juleps and pimento cheese sandwiches among the Southern elite. But, in classic Sunny fashion, things go off the rails immediately. Frank reveals that they're not going to the Kentucky Derby at all. Instead, they're headed to a rundown dog track in West Virginia. The gang is horrified by the low-class setting, but Frank is excited because he owns 40% of a racing dog named Pennies from Heaven. The group's disappointment is palpable, but they decide to make the best of it, placing bets and trying to embrace Mac and Charlie's raw dog philosophy. Charlie and Mac set out to find the rawest dog to bet on, hilariously debating whether a one-eyed dog or a shoeless hobo is the rawest. They eventually take advice from a mysterious, shoeless man named Sparky, who tells them to bet on Squeaky Wheel, a dog that runs well after a rain and loves the wind out of the southeast. The gang places their bets, and, to their surprise, Squeaky Wheel wins by a mile, netting them $200 each. The thrill of victory quickly leads to more reckless gambling, with the gang betting on rock, paper, scissors, guessing numbers, and even eating gum off the floor in a desperate attempt to win back their losses. Meanwhile, Frank is busy negotiating stud rights for Pennies from Heaven with the majority shareholder, Lewis. The conversation quickly turns bizarre, with Frank trying to film the dogs milking for the sawdust, who supposedly pay big money for racing dog semen. The gang is disgusted by the idea, but Frank insists it's a lucrative opportunity. The absurdity escalates as Frank tries to rope the gang into helping with the process, leading to a series of increasingly ridiculous bets and dares. As the gang's luck turns, they lose all their winnings and start betting their clothes and dignity. Dee and Dennis are especially horrified by the lack of class and the degrading nature of the dog track, but they're too deep in the chaos to escape. The group's codependency and enabling behaviors are on full display as they egg each other on, refusing to learn from their mistakes and always pushing the boundaries of good taste. Charlie and Mac continue to bond with Sparky, the shoeless dog caretaker, who reveals his philosophy of living like a dog, putting himself last, feeling what the dogs feel, and tidying up the track to protect the animals. Sparky's raw, unfiltered approach to life resonates with Charlie and Mac, who see him as a kindred spirit. The gang learns that Sparky gets to keep the dogs that can't race anymore, taking care of them in his trailer in the parking lot. The revelation is both touching and unsettling, as Sparky's dedication to the dogs contrasts sharply with the gang's selfishness and lack of empathy. The episode takes a dark turn when Sparky learns that the dog track is closing down and that there won't be any more dog races in America. He's devastated, realizing that he's always the last to know about major changes in his world. The gang feels a rare moment of sympathy for Sparky, but their concern is short-lived. A gunshot rings out, and the gang panics, wondering if Sparky has shot one of the dogs or himself. The ambiguity of the moment adds a layer of dark humor and social commentary, as the gang speculates about the fate of the dogs and the reasons behind the closure of dog tracks across the country. In true Sunny fashion, the gang's focus quickly shifts back to their own problems. They realize they need to wipe their fingerprints and get out of the dog track before they get implicated in whatever just happened. The group's lack of remorse and self-preservation instincts are on full display as they scramble to escape the scene, debating whether to burn the place down to cover their tracks. The climax of the episode comes when Frank reveals his ultimate scheme. The entire trip to the dog track was a setup so he could bet on the gang themselves, not the dogs. Frank never intended to bet on the races. He bet Lewis that he could get the gang to jerk off a dog, and when they finally go through with it, in a hilariously awkward and cringe-worthy scene, Frank wins big. The Saudis, the dog races, and the stud rights were all a ruse. Frank's real bet was on the gang's willingness to degrade themselves for money. The gang is furious when they realize they've been played, but Frank is unapologetic, declaring them his raw dogs and celebrating his victory. The episode ends with the gang raw dogging it home, reflecting on the lessons they've learned, or more accurately, failed to learn. Sparky offers them corn nuts, and the group is left to ponder the meaning of rawness, war, and the animalistic nature of their own behavior. The closing scene is a perfect encapsulation of the show's dark humor and refusal to offer easy redemption or growth for its characters. Season 17, Episode 5 is a classic Sunny episode, blending absurdity, social satire, and gross-out comedy in a way that only this show can. The gang's narcissism, codependency, and lack of self-awareness drive the plot, leading to a series of escalating disasters and humiliations. The episode skewers the idea of raw dogging as a lifestyle trend, pokes fun at the glamour of horse racing, and exposes the seedy reality of dog tracks and animal exploitation. At the same time, it offers moments of genuine connection and empathy, as the gang briefly bonds with Sparky and reflects on their own shortcomings. The ending is both hilarious and unsettling, with Frank's scheme serving as a reminder that the gang will always find new ways to betray and exploit each other for personal gain. The status quo is restored, and the group returns to Paddy's pub, no wiser or better for their experiences. It's a testament to the show's longevity and its ability to mine dark, uncomfortable territory for laughs without ever letting its characters grow or change. If you're a fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, this episode is a must. It's packed with memorable lines, outrageous situations, and the kind of biting social commentary that has made the show a staple of American comedy. Whether you're new to the series or a longtime viewer, Season 17, Episode 5 delivers everything you could want from the gang. Chaos, depravity, and a complete lack of self-awareness.